today is not Friday, right? Today is a bonus day because I missed last Friday. Hope everybody is having a good week so far. I know we're not very far into it, but hopefully so far so good, right? So tonight I have something really fun planned, and I planned on doing it Friday, but my little dog got into a scrape because he's very feisty, and he got through the fence into the neighbor's yard, the neighbor that has pit bulls, and he almost became a snack. So, Ben, go ahead and bring me Louie. But for those of you who have been asking me, Louie's gonna be okay. Here he is. He's still, I can't give him a bath yet until after he's recovered a little bit more. But you can see, I'll hold him up a little bit. He has a bite mark here. He had a bigger one on this side because he was in the dog's mouth. He has one on his neck, but I won't show you all of his battle wounds, but he's doing okay. And hopefully he's a little wiser because he is a little big for his britches. Thank you so much to everybody who checked in with us and checked to see how he was doing. That really means a lot to us. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and flip my camera view.
Feeling better when you're back on.
Oh, thank you, Jenny. I'm glad to be back on. I missed everybody. Well, oh, I wasn't going to show you the card yet, but there you go. You got a big old preview right there.
Gina said hi.
Hi, Gina. How are you? Okay. Well, let's just jump in. We are going to be playing with the T for 2 die set. And we are going to add to this. First of all, let's talk about this. This is the die of the month. It is so dang cute. I hope you like it as much as I do. Look at these little guys. They are so cute. And I'm going to show you a different way to use them. We're going to make them into a bride and groom.
Anne-Marie says hi.
Hi, Anne-Marie. How are you? And we're going to use the T for 2 dies. We're going to use the Solarium Window. We're going to use Fabulous Florals. And then we're going to go way back. We're going to use the Be Happy. We're just going to use the cloud from that. And this one, forgive me, is no longer available. But I am just going to use this little die right here from the Under the Sea. So pay attention to where all of these dies come from, because I can't wait to show you what we're going to create. What was that? Okay, first of all, let me tell you this. This die set is $5 right now. So you don't want to miss out on that. If you don't have it, I'm telling you, it's so cute. I love these little birds. And who doesn't need a cloud? There's the cloud with the smile, but there's also a cloud that doesn't have a smile. So we're going to use the little cloud. And it's just a handy size. It's just like the right size. And this has been well loved, if you can't tell. I use this all the time. This is the Fabulous Florals, and they are on sale for $6. You cannot beat that. And everything in here is very versatile. So don't miss out on this set. Get one while they're still around. And then this set is more versatile than you would think. This is the Solarium Window. And there are so many fun things. This just, you can use it as a birdhouse. You can use it as a gazebo. You can use it for, I cut it off, so I just used the top portion for like a shop window. Plenty of things you can do. Just, this one's on sale for $6. So do not miss out on those. Okay, now let's get going on our card.
Anne-Marie said she's better since you're on.
Oh, Anne-Marie, you are the sweetest. I'm better since you're here with me. All right. We're going to start right off with that Solarium Window. And I love this set. I will admit, I pushed for this little window because I really just wanted a big old die that is a great backdrop for florals or for whatever. And in this case, it's going to be our little bride and groom gazebo. So the first thing, what was that?
Gazebo?
Yeah, or canopy, whatever you want to call it. It can be a canopy or a gazebo, whatever you choose. All right. So I'm just going to use some of my Barely Art glue. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. The first thing we want to do is we want to put our clouds on, because we want our clouds to peek through the back of our gazebo. So obviously we're going to end up with a 6x6 card. I should have mentioned that we are using our pre-scored, pre-cut 6x6 card bases. Okay, Darren, that's the product I forgot to tell you.
Yeah, I'm adding it now.
There has to always be at least one. So I actually am just going to place this on here so that I can see kind of where it's going to go. And I'll just tuck that right underneath. And we'll do this one, just kind of kitty corner. So what has everybody been up to? What's the weather like in your area? It was warm today here. It's in the 60s.
Actually, in the 70s.
It actually got into the 70s. It felt like it was in the 70s. It was a nice, sunny, pretty day. Okay, so now let's put our little gazebo down. And I just kind of go across the lines where it's more solid.
He says they're bracing for a severe ice storm starting tomorrow morning.
Oh, Anne-Marie, that sounds like a good day to stay in the house and craft and during an ice storm. Hopefully you don't have to go anywhere. Okay, I think we have enough glue. So now I'm just going to try to kind of center that. And I am sitting, so typically I'll stand when I'm centering, but to be honest with you, my feet hurt. I'm going to sit down. Okay, so now we're going to take this little, I just cut this on my Cricut. And so I'm just going to add our little grass to it. And I'm just going to put that, I probably should have put our gazebo down a little bit, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. Okay, so we've got the basics down now. Now we can build.
Blessed enough to be able to work from home.
Oh, Anne-Marie, isn't it the best? I am so grateful that I get to work from home too. Now, one thing I want to point out before I forget is when I glued on this little strip of grass, I only glued along the bottom line because I want to be able to tuck things into the top. Okay, so now let's build our little gazebo. So these are from our fabulous Florals. In fact, everything that we're using for our gazebo is from Fabulous Florals. And I'll just start moving the pieces over so I've got them handy. I think that's pretty much everything for that. Okay, so I'm just going to glue pretty much down the spine of our little bunch of leaves. That main connecting piece. And I'm just going to kind of have it go like this. So it's just kind of covering one half of our gazebo. And when I'm doing florals, I don't I don't usually do them too symmetrical because flowers really aren't usually all that symmetrical, and I like giving them a little bit of a wild flair to them. So we're not even going to center this one. We're going to just kind of have it, it's a little bit to the side. It's kind of centered. But just play with that. You could even do more pieces and have it hanging all the way down. Create your own ending on that, right? All right, so now we're going to take, let's do our little purple flowers next. So I'm just gonna kind of, I think we'll do one on either side and one down the middle. So I'm really just going to glue mostly along the stem because I don't want everything flat on my paper. I like there to be a little movement left in my paper, right? So we'll stick this guy, and there'll be a flower on it too. So if the stem sticks out or anything, it's not that big of a deal because we can always cover it up. All right, so now let's kind of tuck this guy in. Maybe like, kind of want it pointing downward more. Maybe more like that. All right, and then we have the last one of those. So do you guys have fun plans for the weekend? I am still gonna go live on Friday, by the way. I will be doing a scrapbook page. I think that's the last Friday. Is that the last Friday or is there one more, Darren?
It's the last one.
Okay, that's what I thought. Glad that I'm on top of it. All right. So now we'll just add our little flowers. I'll do one kind of to the side. Oops. Have to hold it there a little longer, I guess. This glue actually dries pretty quick, but I'm also a little bit impatient, so. Okay. It's coming along. It's starting to look like something's happening here. So let's put one of our flowers maybe right there. And then we'll put the other two on the other side. Let's put one right there. And we'll put one maybe right up there. So as you saw, I made this card already, but I'm altering it just a tiny bit. Okay, so now I'm just gonna take one of my favorite things, and that is little enamel dots, and I'm just going to add those for flower centers. And I like that it kind of gives us a new texture to add to our card. We've got the shine, we've got a little bit of depth, and a little pop of a bright color. I tell you, I can't get enough of these little dots. Okay, so now we've got our little, what is that? A spray of flowers.
Decoration.
So let's assemble our mushroom next. So I've got these 4 pieces that I've cut. I cut 2 of the base, and I'll show you why. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the red piece that I cut to the white piece. just want to make sure I line that up. Let me just pick that up. So I have to hold it a little closer to myself. Sorry. So I was just lining it up. But now I'm just going to cut that just right along the bottom. Oh, hang on. I just went to straighten it and I went more out of whack. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to cut that right off.
You're off camera.
And I'm just going to cut right along where the red and the white meet on the bottom. Now, honestly, it was pretty cute without doing this. If you just kind of want to get more depth and more interest, you can do what I'm doing, or you can just keep it simple and just skip what I just did. Okay, so now I'm going to add it to the brown base. We've got that on there pretty straight now. And then I'm going to take that last little die cut and add that back on. See how it gives it more depth?
Jenny says her Wi-Fi is bananas.
Oh no, Jenny. Well, we'll enjoy you as long as you can be here. So then we're just going to tuck that little guy onto our card about right there, I think. You can see why I only glued along the bottom so that I could do that. I think about right there. We want to leave plenty of room for our little bride and groom. And those are probably the trickiest thing that we're going to do. And that's just because there's a lot of little pieces, but they're really simple to assemble. So bear with me for a minute. Let's do the groom first. He's a little simpler. So first of all, I'm going to do Candy's trick. So Candy did this on her live a little while ago, and I really liked the way that it looked. So I was gonna grab that and I forgot. So hang on one sec while I just grab my little embossing tray. Okay. See, that wasn't too bad. So I'm going to give him shiny shoes because the way that this die set works, you'll see his shoes will still be showing after we layer everything. And so just to give him a little bit fancier footwear, I'm just going to add some shine by using some Icicle embossing powder. And there's your second item, Darren.
I'm doing it already.
I know you are. You're awesome. I tell him what I'm using ahead of time, but I always end up adding more. And he's very patient about it. Thank you, by the way, for moderating. Darren is the best. I kind of like that guy. Okay, so let me quickly just heat that up. And my cord is not reaching, so I'm just going to do it. I hate that. Hang on, I want you to be able to see it change. Let me just move the box. There we go. Accidentally sat a box on it. Who did? Oh, that's not good. I wonder why. Is Benji on the internet? It's hers. Okay, so that just kicked up his shoes a notch. He's just that much more dapper. Okay, so now as that's kind of cooling off, we can add some glue to our beard. And depending on how fancy you want to go, you could add some shading with some ink around the edges of the beard, or you could add texture, making, you know, lines or whatever with your alcohol markers, whatever suits your fancy.
Jenny says you got all your bases covered with the gnomes, baby cards, wedding.
It's true, it's spring, right? But Jenny, it's like baby and wedding season, and I tell you, I just like to know when I buy a set that it's versatile. So I always try to think of different ways I can use things. And these just, this idea just came to me and I had to make it. So I actually got home from the vet and everything on Friday, and I was like, I had all of the pieces sitting out, and I thought, I'm gonna make that anyway, even though I didn't go live, I'm still gonna make it. And then I showed it to Christopher, and Christopher liked it too, and he was like, you need to show that. So that's why you have an extra live. All right, so what I did next, I just kind of went for it. Sorry, guys. So this little piece, I cut out his mustache, and I'm going to show you that I also cut out the bride's hair, and then you can use the mustache for bangs. So that's kind of a fun little perk that you might not think of right off the top, right off the bat. So I cut out the hat twice. So you've got it on the base. And the reason why I cut out another one is I want to give it a little bit of dimension. But I cut out another one out of glitter stock so that I could make a little band to fancy up his hat a little bit. And this way it will for sure be the right size, because I'll just follow the lines on the hat, and we'll just glue that onto his hat. And he will be a fancy gnome. He's got his shiny shoes and he's got his fancy hat going on. He's ready for this wedding.
Well, one only gets married once in their life.
That's right.
Go all out.
Well, you hope so. Okay. So I just tucked that right behind his hair. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. And if you wanted to get even more dimension, you could do a layer in between these. But I think this is good. So now he needs his nose. So we will give him his nose. So there's two noses in the set. One's a little larger and one's a little smaller. So depending on who has the larger schnoz, you can add that to your gnome. And then we're just going to add his, oh, you know what? I want to do something different with his nose. Sorry about that. Thankfully, I remembered before it dried. We're going to give his nose a little dimension. Let's make it stand out a little bit. We're going to use some of our small foam squares. And we are going to, like I said, make his nose stand out a little bit more. See, look at that. That just gives him so much more life. And now we will do the same thing with his little hand. And his hand's just going to stick out from underneath his beard. I'm going to move my little foam over as far as I can because I want to tuck a little heart behind it. So we'll have it kind of sticking out right there. And then I'm just going to put the glue actually on. You can see I'm kind of pinching it down so I can get to the back of the hand, so that I can just take my little heart. And if you have tweezers, this is probably a little bit easier. And we'll just, I want to make sure you can tell it's a heart, so I'm going to turn it a little bit. I may have to get the tweezers just to get this to come off of me and stay on There we go. Okay, so now he's holding the little heart, and we will just set him here. I'm not going to glue him on until I've got the girl, so that I can kind of know for sure where we want to place him. But he'll go roughly around there. Okay, easy enough. Let's move on to our girl gnome. And she's got a few more pieces and a few more bells and whistles. Kind of like brides usually do, right? Okay, bear with me as I gather her pieces. Okay, so first of all, this is another one of these little it's like the little purple flowers, but I did a white one, and we're going to use this to trim her hat. But first, before we do that, let's give her hat a little bit of interest. I'm just using a standard hole punch. Use whatever size you want. Whoops, I thought I was using it, but I didn't have it in there right. And do one right there. Whoops. And let's see, maybe one over this direction.
Anne-Marie said this is so cute.
Anne-Marie, you're so sweet. This was a lot of fun to make. I really have had fun making this little gnome couple. Okay, so we will end up putting this over the top, and she'll have those silver polka dots coming through. So first, I'm going to cut down my little foam squares as best I can. They're already pretty tiny, so it's a little tricky, but I'm going to do some little triangles and see if I can just fit them in between. I think 2 or 3 is plenty. Yeah, I might fit one more down at the bottom. And, whoops, almost have it. Okay, so I'm not going to stick it down yet, and you'll see why. Let's go ahead and put her body on. We'll connect her body to her, the base. So I'm just going to add some glue, and I'm adding kind of a lot of glue just because I want it to stick really well to the glitter glaze. And it's okay if it doesn't cover all the way to the sides, because her hair kind of covers up a lot of that.
Anne-Marie said your creativity amazes her.
Oh, Anne-Marie, you're so kind. You guys inspire me. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put on her hair. So first we'll put this down, and I'll show you. I mean, this is fine all by itself, but she's kind of like me. She needs her bangs. And then I'm just going to put those up a little high, just so that it's obvious that that's what those are, that those are her bangs and not a mustache.
An out of control mustache.
Right? Growing up above her eyes.
With honking eyebrows.
Hey, mine can get pretty out of control. Okay, so before we do the next step, I'm going to go ahead and add her bouquet. And this is where that little seaweed die cut comes in. Just because I didn't want to cut little pieces for the bouquet, so you could use either side of this. I think I'm going to use this one. And I'm just going to trim them down a little bit. Maybe even a lot by the time I'm done, because there really isn't a ton of space. We'll do that one about right there. Do that one a little shorter. And let's take that one a little shorter. Okay, so now we have a little thing to work with for our bouquet. So now I'm just going to glue our flowers to that. And I'm not going to worry about the centers because I'm going to use more of the enamel dots for that. And you're really not going to see all of the flowers. You'll see them, but they're not going to be like the main focal point. You'll see why in just a second. You'll understand where I'm coming from. There is a method to my madness, I promise. Okay, so now we just need to add little flower centers. And it looks like we only have 2 of the yellow. Let me see if I've got another set. Hang on one sec. The other colors just don't look like they would go. But I'm sure I at least have white, if not more yellow. Let's do... Yeah, those are for another thing. So I've got this yellow. It's going to be far enough from the other ones that I'm not too worried about it. So we'll do... I keep catching that. All right, I got all kinds of stuff sticking to me. There we go. All right, we got our first one on. And let me just tell you that this is a good time to pull out your Gina K tool, because I can kind of move it where I want it and push it down without it sticking to me. In fact, let's just peel this one off with it. Let's see how that works. I have a feeling it's going to go flying. No, it didn't. Well, I keep pushing it onto it more. Hang on one sec.
They call the pick and stick tool?
The pick and stick, yes. So now I can just scooch that where I want it. Ah, so nice. So much easier. Okay. So now we've got our little bouquet ready to go. And we can kind of stick that in there, kind of where we think we're going to want it.
Check out the spring cleaning sale.
That's right. How you doing, Christopher? So now we can go ahead and glue our little bouquet on there. And before I push the top part of that down, let's put her nose on. And again, we kind of want to pop that up. So let's use a foam square. And she is getting a whiff of those flowers. All right. And then we'll use the foam squares again on the hands. And see, just little things like how the flowers are coming up and resting against her nose. That gives this a little bit more dimension. Maybe one.
Everybody said I would not have thought about using all the dyes the way you have.
I love to mess with the dyes. They are fun. There are so many things you can do with dyes.
Christopher said you love this card so much, you got a sneak peek last night and been thinking of it ever since.
Well, Christopher, because my package didn't go off, I will sneak one of these into, I'll open it up and stick one in. Because I've got 2 of them now. So for her hair, there are little hair like ponytail holders. Little teeny tiny ones. Let me see if I can find the set so I can show you. They're really cute, but I thought it would be fun to use little ribbons for her fancy day. We got a lot going on this little tiny body. Okay, but we're not quite done. We have one more detail that we want to add. So I'm going to take, that one might be a little close.
It'll go with the others displayed in my office.
Ah, you're so sweet. I just sent in samples for spring, guys. You guys are in for a treat. You are going to love the spring release. Okay, so line it up. I need to line mine up better than I did. And then we're just going to cut it. And you may have to cut it more than once to get it exactly right, but I'm just kind of cutting a wavy line so it just looks like it's hanging. And hopefully I didn't do it way too high. No, I think it's about right. It's probably not straight, but that's okay.
Brutus said we received some amazing samples today. He's going to begin showing sneak peeks tomorrow.
Woohoo! Did you hear that, guys? Stay tuned for sneak peeks of the spring release. All right, once I get that last little guy off, then we can put this down. So we just want to line this up as best we can, because this one has a little bit more dimension, right? So we've got our little veil. And now just to make it a little bit fancy, you can cut one of the flowers down from the Fabulous Florals. And I added a little trim, which also kind of follows her bangs. We need this one first. Okay. So we'll put that there. We'll put this one here.
Anne-Marie gave a row of hearts.
Oh, Anne-Marie, you are just making me feel too good. Thank you. And then we'll put this little white flower, also from Fabulous Florals. We used it up here too, to just kind of cover that middle spot. And then I have had these have been in my stash for a good 5 years. So I thought I would use some of these to just kind of fancy her up a little bit more. So we can kind of stick those in the holes just to give a little bit of interest. And so I can clean them out of my stash. And that other one's really not going to show too much, but I'm just going to put it there because I know it's there. So it'll bug me. Of course, that's the one that's going to turn on me, huh? All right. And then we'll put one of the little teeny tiny ones. Let's put one of those on the center of our flower. Okay. So now we've got our little bride ready to go. So now we can kind of decide where we want to place them. And I kind of like having part of them in the grass and part of them out.
Bride bling.
That's right. She's got to have her bling on, right? So let's see. I think we will just glue them directly because I think they've got some dimension going on already. So I'm going to go ahead and glue them just right on the card. And I just want some of the grass to stick out. Okay. So we'll kind of hold him there for a second while we glue the back of our bride. And now, for our last little touch, these little pieces of grass are from our gnome set, the T for 2. And so these will make it just so that we can put them just to kind of emphasize our bride and groom a little bit more. It looks like we need to cut those down a little bit too. Let's use the little triangle shapes again. So I've got one ready to go. And I'll put one on straight on so that we can just have, again, a little more dimension. And where his little foot is kind of exposed, the blue behind it, let's just kind of move that so that it doesn't look weird. And so now you can see he's kind of disturbed the grass right there, is what that looks like to me. And now we can, hey, they're gnomes. They like it in the grass. The tall grass is what keeps them hidden, right? Do you want that there or right there? I want it right there. Okay, so now all we have to do is add a sentiment and put it on our card base and we are good to go. So since tonight has just kind of been a whole bunch of things that were in my stash, I actually went through and I've showed you before that I keep my little conversation clippings. I cut them down and then I put them in my little gum containers, which work perfect for me. And typically I'll label them, but I didn't label that one. But I believe this is called, what is this called, Darren? Happiness Blooms or something like that. This is from last year. It's no longer.
I'm not sure.
But I like to go back and use my sentiments sometimes. But I thought this one, Let's Grow Old Together, is kind of cute. But there's also Best Wishes, which is nice if you're giving the card to somebody else. You've got Love. Oh, there's one. There's one. Today is your day. That might be a good one. That's about the size I like. So I'm just going to pop that up. Since we're popping everything up tonight, it just seems like our sentiment should be popped up too. And those sentiments we have in our inspiration kit, and they are in every month, so you can count on the little conversation clippings and the card panels, and they are really useful. I use mine all the time. All right, now it's time to finish off our card. Get the corners a little bit better.
Emery thought it's a great idea for the gum container. I keep one of the gum containers in my car with called ketchup packets in it.
Oh, that's a great idea too. Those little gum containers are really handy, aren't they? All right. So now we've got our finished card. And like I said, if you buy all of the dies, we had it worked out. What was it, Darren?
$32 total.
For $32, you get 4 sets of dies. And that is a $100 value. So you would have your gnomes. This one is no longer available, so that one's a no-go. But you've got your gnomes, you've got your super cute Be Happy, you've got your Solarium Window, and you've got your fabulous florals. And again, I'm just going to reiterate, this is such a versatile set. All of them are really pretty versatile if you ask me. And the gnomes, oh my gosh, you just have to have the gnomes. So, thank you so much for joining me on this bonus Tuesday. And I will be going live again on Friday. So I hope you'll join me again. And I hope that you have a great rest of your week. And I hope that you get a lot of crafting done. Thanks so much. See you Friday. Bye-bye.